You listen to these videos, just close all the eyes. All the people close their eyes. You see the sea, inside to the sea. And open the eyes, you see 20,000 people you coming in the water. It's like the same from Flash. One time you close your eyes and you wake up in the morning time, you see from this island you have too much tourists, you see outside to your door people to die.
I wish the UN would actually do what it was created to do and step in and actually protect people that need protecting instead of sitting there in a fancy room debating stuff.
The refugees need the word to get out there, but the locals don't want it, probably most of them, because it's so bad for tourism.
The thing was that when you were here, you didn't need to see the migrants. It was only if you went to certain parts of the island. All the rest of it was exactly as it was previous years.
It created a bit of a panic situation, which caused the tourism to collapse.
I wanted to see firsthand what was shown in the media because I didn't necessarily think that they were showing things as they were on the ground.
Probably have to start thinking about media as a democratic issue or a constitutional issue. You have mass media conditioning populations, really, manufacturing consent.
It's all well and good to look at the information through the lenses of journalists and media outlets, but then to come here and actually seeing the boats arrive on shore, being now fairly well aware of all the different actors that play their respective roles.
Sky News reporter went to Turkey and came across with one of the boats, whose name
Alex Crawford.
Alex Crawford came across, and she was sure that the Turkish Coast Guard shot at them.
That's on Sky News.
When you look out at the world, what do you see? In some places, it's filled with happiness, but in others, suffering. I often ask myself this question of what can one person do to change the world? How could you take away the despair from a certain place? Recently, I had been studying the refugee crisis on Lesvos Island in Greece, and I was appalled and shocked at what I could find online. And I wondered, what is it like on the ground? I had this inborn desire to want to understand more, not just about what was happening in this place, but why it was happening. Who was in control here? Was anyone in control here? So I embarked on this journey, speaking with people from different origins in order to gain more knowledge on this topic. If a problem is identified, then a solution should be quantifiable. I came here to seek answers and to also ask questions. So let the journey begin.
If everybody took their fair share of refugees, every country took their fair share, we wouldn't have a problem.
The stereotype, that you so often hear in the States, especially in the South where I'm from, is that these refugees are terrorists, or the refugees are coming in to take our lives over, or to take our jobs, or are just bad people. That's not the case. These are not awful people. They're just trying to live a normal life, and a life that's been uprooted by war, famine, or persecution, or some other affliction, you know? They're just trying to be people.
I mean, when we left, it was just like this spontaneous thing that we did. Our lives were at danger, so you don't have time to pick your favorite sweater or any other things like that.
I was working for the Baloch human rights, and I get caught in the country.
One day you have everything, tomorrow you don't have nothing. Nothing exactly. No house, no country, nothing.
To me, the answer to the refugee problem, or at least a large part of it, is don't start pointless wars in the first place.
The refugees that are coming to Greece are trying to get over from the coasts of Turkey. They will sit in the woods for hours or days waiting for the smugglers to tell them it's clear to go. And even then, in my time here, less than a third will make it across. They become a pawn in this game we play.
Once they've reached Greece, ostensibly they've reached safety. You know, they might have crossed Afghanistan, Syria, Turkey. They've just survived, realistically, a pretty treacherous journey across 12 kilometres of ocean in these ramshackle, super tenuous little boats, and often at the guidance of human traffickers, where I believe really is their intentions are only malevolent or financial, to be honest with you.
And something people, she's making too much money from these people. She's making business from the refugees.
I'm 100% sure the police will help for the human trafficking. They will get, there's some police, they will get paid for the human trafficking.
When you walk in Istanbul street, a lot of Let's stay right here and ask for you where you want to go. Greece, Germany, where? And you tell me, like, Germany is how much, you pay money to exchange. All of the people must be stay in the minivan and go to the location of the port. Stay for 6 or 7 hours and we talk and see this. For police, if person not can tell us come on and fast, now we can go. It's very hard because that is my life, and just I have a life jacket and you can come here.
These are they sell in Turkey.
The ones that are not real.
This is nothing. Plain shit. Something that will drag you down, drown you. These are sold on the streets. Everyone sells them all over. And I wonder, like, doesn't the government know about this?
Rumour had it that
No, we did see some. We saw some that were hanging on the fence.
that some of the life jackets had been sold to migrants that had been stuffed with dry grass, which would have been not a flotation aid, but the exact opposite if anything had happened and they'd gone in the water. Here over the fortnight that we were here, that 16 people drowned.
Why do refugees have to risk so much just to be free? The other day we had 7 people drown, then 9, and the numbers just continue to add. When the boats try to come over, the Coast Guard can sometimes push them back over the border, so they are arrested. The boats can capsize, resulting in the death of refugees.
Just witnessing how welcoming the local residents could be, an understanding of the plight of these refugees, and undoubtedly it has detrimental effects on the local residents, on tourism.
I am here to help the people. Exactly, I don't care. It's 2015 or 2030.
It was hard to be there and see everything that everyone was going through living there, and to know that what you were doing wasn't really making that big of a difference. I mean, you know, you're going to hand out some food and some clothes, and yes, that will help someone in the next couple of hours, but ultimately it's not changing their situation.
All the people from the house, you see the people and take it blanket, and take it clothes, and take it shoes. She must give it something to help from these people, because you need help. You see the people, you don't see the eyes.
It had a name, what were they called?
The Dirty Girls.
The Dirty Girls, that was it.
The Dirty Girls of Lesvos.
And they were collecting all the discarded clothes, laundering them.
And then bring them back to where the refugees were landing, so that they had clean and dry clothes.
Just like looking at these clothes, wondering who the people are, where they are right now, if they're alive or not. Just kind of wonder where my clothes are right now, you know?
We can all just take one risk in our life to affect change for a cause or for something that we are so passionate about that we can't stand idly by to see continue. Man, imagine what could happen. Like, what a beautiful day that would be.
Once you show up, even out of curiosity, it's difficult to not want to help once you see what's happening.
Just stay like 1 or 2 days in Moria, you will understand everything, what's going on. I mean, there is no human rights in Moria. There's nothing. Like in one place, like 9,000 people, they have to be in a line to get the food. Like just 5 people distributing food for 9,000 people.
It was also quite a long time to queue up for food. So people that had, you know, health issues, small children, pregnant women, older people, they couldn't just stand for an hour at a time out in the open, in the cold, in the rain, and the scorching heat in the summer. There was only 1 portion per person in the queue.
Refugee life in here, just all of refugees just stay in line in Moria for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner.
People couldn't queue on behalf of any of their other family members. For baby formula and baby milk, they started to implement a policy where you had to either have the child with you or have your registration papers to show that there was a child in your family group in order to be able to receive it.
In Moria, everything volunteer, police, and everything can trust you, and that's very bad.
How can you prove that this person is really queuing on behalf of someone else and they're not just going to take a second portion and you have to ration everything?
I'm eating that food almost 2 years, that's why it's so bad for me. And it's not changing, it's the same food.
This led to some tensions, and people would understandably get very angry with the people at distribution when they couldn't receive an extra portion to take for somebody else.
Every person, they will get 1 bottle of water, like 1.5 liter, and like per day, 24 hours. In the morning, they will distribute that in the breakfast time. If you was not sleeping, so you will get your water, otherwise you're not.
I couldn't believe it this night on the camp. We are handing out extra food, and the refugees are not taking it. They're saying they have enough, save it for everybody else. There was a little girl who had snuck into one of the volunteer tents and taken some crackers. She went back and gave the crackers to 20 other people on the camp. The generosity and the kind-heartedness that you see.
So a lot of people chose to spend what little money they had to actually buy things and cook for themselves. There was no kitchen, there was no electricity, so people would burn cardboard. They would ask for extra clothes from distribution to burn them, shoes, whatever. There's so many people from the actual refugee population themselves that are excellent cooks. Give them something to do, give them a way to feed themselves, to make food that everyone is familiar with. It's better than just sitting around in an empty field all day waiting for someone to give you a moldy jam sandwich. I think that would have been a much better solution.
As we're walking around, there's this little area called the palm tree forest. And there were these 3 refugees there. They were about to eat. and they called out to us. They're like, hey, come eat dinner with us, come eat dinner with us. All three of them were from Morocco. One was 18, one was 21, and one was 35. I started to talk with the 21-year-old. You know, they said the reason why they have that dinner to have a night away from the camp, to just forget about the situation, forget about where they're at, and to really just enjoy life together.
We have engineer, we have doctor, we have pilot maybe.
He just said, you know, my home is thousands of miles away, your home is thousands of miles away, yet we're still sharing this one moment here on this island together, discovering the way that we interact with other people, even people that, you know, don't speak the same language. It's a beautiful moment because you realize how big the world really is and how beautiful other people are, regardless of the circumstances.
Refugees and all of refugees from Asia, Afghanistan, Iran, and Syria, Iraq, and everywhere have a very, very bad life in Lesvos.
I spent a day in the camp in Lesvos, the main one, Moria. Yeah, it's not very good, and no one likes being there. And they're really bored, nothing to do, they feel stuck. A colossal amount of PTSD.
They said, like the government said, and the NGOs say, they are here for temporary, like it's a temporary camp. But I don't think it's a temporary camp because I've been here 2 years, and I'm like, there is people like more than 2 years here. Moria camp is a different world to wait 2 years. I prefer to be in jail in Iran and not in Moria camp. Seriously.
Why is that?
Because I've been in jail in Iran. It's not like Moria camp. In jail they have, Iranian jail, they have like a room for 4 people, but here a room and 20 people. And they have TV in the room, they have fridge in the room, they have good food. I mean, it's jail, they have a phone, like a free call, and here is nothing. At least there is bathroom and shower in jail. They don't have anything. They have doctor 24/7 in jail. We are just in the jungle, all of jungle.
They wait for everything. Food, water, clothing. They have to wait in lines to hear about their asylum. You can be waiting for hours and hours, and by the end of the day, they can just tell you to come back tomorrow. They will only be open for a certain amount of hours during the day. Nobody communicates with the refugees on what they need to do next to seek and receive asylum.
I have my friend big story. This Bible, she give it one guy from Syria.
It's 12 April. 12 April. I make it in the water.
This group of NGO, and they've been funded by the churches around the world. They have a lot of money and they have a lot of power. And they're working in Moria camp. So they said our mission is to change the religion of people. The people that will arrive here, most of them they are Muslim. And if any Muslim, they are more interested in Christianity, so they will get better house in Moria. So this is the NGOs, they're getting refugee baptized. The refugees just arrived like 1 week ago. So what's wrong with Islam? So what's wrong with Hindus? What's wrong with Jewish? You mean just the Christianity is the best, you think? In this situation, people in Moria, they don't need Bible and Quran. They need food, they want clothes. They don't want Bible. Like, just think, each Bible that costs 20 euro. And in this 20 euro, you can buy a lot of stuff for one person. So why are you giving the Bible out? Like, just give him food, give him the poor people food. No, like they will say, no, everybody needs God. I said, not in Moria. In Moria, people need food, not God. So no, when God will come here, there will be peace. I said, when there is no food, how the peace will come? But there is no clothes. So the peace, what's the meaning of peace in that? I never see someone die in front of my eyes, but I saw it in Moria.
We have a lot of fight in Moria, from poor people to Arab people with black skin people, and Afghan people. It's very, very bad.
When somebody dies in the camp, what happens?
Nothing?
Nothing.
Just die. If someone die in Moria, like some animal die. Like last year, someone get burned, the tent get burned. Like a family get burned in front of my eyes because there's no one to get the fire off. And we don't know how to do it, and we don't have that possibility and the machine.
For poor people in Moria is die, but then I tell you when poor people is die, when start telling me hospital not report from here. And
So they just disappear, basically.
yes,
Yeah.
for people is die, very easy. For people. Not for me.
And it's happened in Moria, and the sex trafficking happened in Moria, and they call Section C, it's just for single women. We get disappears some women from there.
You can see a lot of people from Moria. If you're gay or have a lot of other problem, and Moria people know you, maybe have a problem for you, maybe attack you, maybe shown. That's do it for me. Arab people from Moria show knife to me, and tell me I kill you. You're gay. We don't like. It's not good from Islam.
It's not the refugees' fault. The fights happen. I think it's the NGOs' fault. When the house people, in one cantina, 10 different religion, 10 different culture, it's going to happen.
I have video from a fight. I can share with you.
There are 9,000 people living in poverty in a place meant for 1,500, with no control, no accountability, and no hope for change. Is there violence on the camp? Sometimes yes. Is there drugs or other issues on the camp? Sometimes yes. Are there riots? Sometimes yes, but let me ask you, in the world, in the whole population of the world, is there violence? Sometimes yes. Are there drugs and other problems? Sometimes yes. And are there riots and wars and poverty? Sometimes yes. These populations are the same, yet we've marginalized this community and isolated them from the aid and viewership of the rest of the world.
Power to freeze some people's asylum. I know why the NGO they're doing they have to freeze the asylum, and they want to freeze some people. This is ridiculous. This is something that you came here to help, and you're freezing the people's asylum.
You must come, because here is a control from the police, from the papers, from everything. You must stop here, outside in my office.
It's unthinkable that a modern day Hitler lives amongst us on this earth, and no one is standing up to him, and no one is just saying, that's enough.
All of us are human, so there is human rights. European Union and USA say we have human rights, no borders.
I call the upstream principle to big problems such as refugees, which is that ideally you should go as far up the stream of the chain of causation as possible to get to the root causes. And the root causes of the refugees are wars for the most part.
I'm not quite sure how cheaper it is to invade a country than to focus on other sources of energy. Power plays a huge role.
Because the current political structure on an international level and the way nation states are organized is leading to a lot of inequalities, and the current political structures are not doing enough.
I think refugees are just the face of the criminality of governments assuming they can inflict their control over other nations for means of oil or other resources or control.
Or democratic governments are essentially an extent of the people. So if we are thinking of these problems, then by definition the government will care and will do something about these.
The refugees are the collateral damage of that forgotten minority.
That all human lives are not treated equally, and there is a hierarchy in that situation.
The refugees I met in the camp here in Lesvos, I went out last week, are mostly from the Middle East, and I think that the American invasion of Iraq in 2003 is a major driver of that. It created one of the biggest refugee problems since World War II, if not the biggest.
But the current political and social structures, speaking on a broad level, are definitely sustaining this idea that certain human beings will be in a more privileged place and certain lives are less worthy than others. This is what really bothers me.
I think we're undergoing just a very slow civilizing process. It's been going on for thousands of years.
Because when it comes to politics, everyone has their own opinions, as they rightly should. But to express in a certain way which will not offend anyone else, but at the same time you can convey your sentiment and sort of evoke empathy from others is a very skillful task.
In the Middle East now, it's immensely unstable and a colossal terrorist generator.
The thing that I would like to change would be this notion or idea that they can't do anything. It's about time you solve the problem in Syria. It's about time you stood up to this dictator, prosecute him, and make him pay for all the things he's done.
I think there is much more, like if you have to see a world which is more equal and accepting and inclusive and more empathetic, you have to do a lot more to end violence and war and everything.
Is there a way that we can sit down and have a conversation about something and figure out a way that we can both mutually benefit out of a situation instead of one person just trampling all over the other?
How about having good relationships with these countries? How about having good trades with these countries? How about helping them if we're talking about other third world countries?
One small rock won't make this whole beach, but a million small rocks make this whole beach. If one person does one thing and another person does one thing and another person does one thing, it really builds up to not just raising awareness, but inspiring action and inspiring more people to come.
Make sure humans can live, give them that right.
It is up to us to change the world. No matter the scale to which it can be achieved, we cannot stay idle to the suffering, to the inhumane, or to the unjust. For it is when we remain stagnant that we lose our global pursuits. One person can ignite a fire, the sparks erupting in a nation, but it is up to you to be a fire for change or destruction.
undescribable to stand up in the streets of your hometown and to speak up your mind in a place where thinking something that don't resemble the leadership rules or playbook would be considered high treason.
May we rise from the ashes and build a world to work for all, to never stop asking questions and to always resurrect contemplation. So who are you going to be? The unhatched egg or the phoenix? The choice is yours, and may your answer be to change the world.
Cure a situation that makes people have to move or die.
Be more empathetic to everyone else and treat everyone equally.
People would put down their jobs for a minute and just think.
Like some might say that that is just an ideal and you will never see that happening, but it doesn't mean that we give up trying, because only if we keep trying can we actually come closer to what we want to.